Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Brady Hauser from Out of the Fast Lane Podcast, and this is another Out of the Fast Lane Podcast. A little different show here tonight. We're gonna do a race recap from the weekend, and we're gonna have a driver come on. He's gonna talk to us about his weekend. We're gonna read about the articles, as you guys can see right here to the left, or the right, or wherever you guys are seeing, and we might show some video. We're gonna have Scott Huber on the show, which is the number 51, hence the hat. That's why I'm wearing his hat. He had a unfortunate weekend, but he still said he'd like to talk about it. And then he's gonna help me talk about some of the new things that are gonna come up in the schedule and a couple of the races that we are gonna recap. But we're gonna start the show now, and starting off with the show last weekend or Friday night, we had the modifieds at Albany Saratoga Speedway, and it was a thriller of a show. Don Ronca pulled up the upset on Stuart Friesen with about 2 or 3 to go. Not even 2 to 3 to go. He led almost flag to flag, and it was actually really a great race. Ronca really was happy about that, as he should. Beating some of the best. Friesen was second, Hackle was third. A couple other guys were in the 4th and 5th position. There is no article up on Dirt Track Digest. I don't know why that is but we will figure that out in a little bit. But now we're going to move on to the other speedway that happened. We're going to have some other tracks that happened. We're going to start here at the New Egypt Speedway up in New Egypt. The New Egypt Speedway out of New Egypt, New Jersey. J.R. Fulper in the number 67 earned his first career win in the 30-lap modified main event at the New Egypt over hard-charging David Van Horn and Frank Cozy. Pouch Jr. would finish 4th, and Davey Sammons would complete the top 5. I'll read a little more about that in a minute. Let's see, I gotta let it load in. It's not gonna load in, but there it is. So this is gonna be J.R. Fulper right here in the 67. He stunned the upset. By the way, give me some feedback, what you guys think about this show right here, if you guys like it or not, see what you think. Remember, we are partnered with Dirt Track Digest, so this is why we're doing this now. And, so J.R. Fulper, the number 67, earned his first career win in the 30-lap modified main event at the New Egypt over a hard-charging David Van Horn and Frank Cozy. So David Van Horn, the final results were J.R. Fulper was first, David Van Horn second, Frank Cozy third, Billy Pouch Jr. fourth, and the fifth spot would be Davey Sammons completing the top 5. Billy Pouch Jr. actually just coming back from being a little bit under the weather. He ended up in the hospital with some stomach issues. He was okay though. They brought him back to. He stayed overnight at the hospital for a couple nights and got back to full health. Came home for a little bit, rest there a couple days, and now he's back in the race car, doing what he loves. And very awesome to see him back in the race car. I'm glad he's back in the race car. We will have it was really awesome for him to get the win for J.R. Fulper, and awesome to see Billy Pouch Jr. back in the race car. And then now we're gonna jump over to the Woodhull Speedway, and that would be Billy Van Pelt getting the win out of Woodhill, New York. Billy Van Pelt picked up the first win in the 25-lap modified feature Saturday night at Woodhull Raceway. Mike Bills would finish second, with Donnie Lawson third, Corey Costa fourth, and AJ Portrabowski completed the top 5. There will be a full story to follow eventually. Not all the stories are followed up yet. It's only on Monday, so we still got. They'll probably be up sometime this week. But I figured I'd let you guys know who the top 5 are, who won, and all that. Sounds like Billy Van Pelt had a very good, strong car that night. Won his heat race and all that. Came out and ended up winning the feature as well. Now we're going to jump over next track we'll jump over to before we get Scott on eventually in a minute. We're going to do a couple more tracks. We're going to go a little bit over to the World of Outlaws side of things. And Sheldon Hudshell overcomes flat tire to win win at Hussett Speedway. And Brandon, South Dakota, Sheldon Haudenschild did what few have ever accomplished. He passed Kyle Larson for the lead and drove away, putting himself on a trajectory to his fourth World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series win of the season Saturday night at Hussett Speedway. However, with 9 laps to go, his apparent victory vanished with a pop. His right rear tire let go, forcing it to get replaced and restart 14th with 9 laps left. To his advantage, multiple other drivers suffered the same fate. Those who had to blow a tire knew that it was a potential inevitability of occurring on the rubber track and tried to treat what tread they had left with care. Haudenschild no longer had to. With a fresh right rear Hoosier eager to clutch dirt, Haudenschild could run twice as hard as the cars ahead of him. Between drivers losing tires and Haudenschild able to pass cars like he had double the horsepower, the NOS Energy Drink number 17 was back on Larson's bumper with 4 laps to go. He had a car capable of passing the Finley Farms number 57 yet again. However, Larson was forced to make the pass easy on Haudenschild when he blew a tire himself. With the lead back in his possession, Haudenschild would never relinquish it again on the final lap. The smoke show put on by his right rear through the final turn became a display of celebration as Haudenschild claimed his fourth career NOS Energy Drink World of Outlaws Series win of the year and his first at Hussett Speedway. He would then say, I knew to just go around the outside of them, the cars ahead. Once I had a fresh tire on and did it before the two car of Carson Macedo, by the way, and the 83 of Darren Pittman. Sorry, I'm a little jumpy tonight. Hold on, I'm gonna slow down a little bit because they were both fresh too. Said Haudenschild in Wooster, Ohio. Just tried to get in front of them early and also save and try to make some passes there, and I hope you get in the lap in. I don't know how many times we'll probably have all 3 pass a bunch of cars and then lap came back. I don't know what I'm talking about. I apologize for this. This is a little weird article. It doesn't really know. Man, I can't give it up to the NOS Energy Drink team. They've been working their asses off. They never give up, and tonight was a perfect example of that. Larson entered the race looking for redeeming with his own. The last time was Hussett's this year. He flipped and destroyed his car. And then he dominated the year after. The Silver Motorsports team unloaded as good as they ever have with Larson, setting the quickest time in hot laps, the quickest time in qualifying, and then winning their heat race. Jacob Allen stepped up to the plate in the Dirt Vision Fast Pass Dash against Larson, though he started on the pole and lost the lead from Larson on the first lap. Unwilling to let the white 57 drive away and claim another win, Allen muscled his way back by Larson to reclaim the lead on the next lap. It was his turn to drive away with a dash win, placing him on the pole for 35-lap feature. So Larson ended up winning. Jacob Allen actually ended up winning the dash, so that put him on the pole. And Sheldon Haudenschild picked up the win over Kyle Larson, which is actually a big shocker because Kyle Larson's been dominating everything that he's been on, and I find that really cool that he did that. It's awesome that Larson got the win there. But yeah, now we're gonna jump back up to the modified world. We are gonna jump over to the Bridgeport Speedway, in Billy Pouch ended up winning, adding another career win to his outstanding career, his legendary career. This is in Bridgeport, New Jersey. This is just a quick little thing. Billy Pouch Sr. notched another win on Saturday at the Bridgeport Speedway. Richie Pat finished second, with Alex Janikowski third, Briggs Danner finishing fourth, and Ryan Godown completing the top 5 in the modified competition. So Billy Pouch Sr. picking up another win on his outstanding career. There's an awesome picture right there from GT Smith. GT Smith's photos right there. Awesome picture of Billy Pouch Jr. If you guys can see that, I know you guys can. And yeah, that's awesome to see that. we're pretty happy to see Billy Pouch still has what it takes to get the win at the raceways, because he's a legend. He's had a legendary career, and it's great to see him win another one. Yeah. So we're gonna jump back, like I said, back over to the Albany Saratoga world, where Don Ronco won the modified feature. Tim Hartman had a strong car in the sportsman feature. It was pretty good. It was a pretty good race in there. Mike Arnold in the street stock feature rolled it pretty bad. But we're gonna go back to another thing. We are gonna head over to the fastest quarter mile on dirt, or the fastest 1/4 of a mile on dirt, and that would be the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park in Fultonville, New York. Tony Ferrone ended up picking up the win there. Jason Riome and Ryan Heath the battle for the championship was Travis Green, Cody Oaks, Scott McCoy, and Andrew Buff. And out of all that, I'm not gonna spoil, but Andrew Buff and Travis Green co-opted the championship. That's a little bit of a spoiler, but here's how they did it. Jason Riome and Ryan Heath set the pace to the green flag for the 30-lap red chair 602 dirt car great sportsman feature. Riome grabbed the early lead, but it would be short-lived as Tony Ferrone was on a mission by lap 5. He was leading the race by lap 5. A yellow came out shortly after. However, Ferrone was checked out from the field off the ensuing restart and led the final 25 laps to win the second race of the 2020 season at the Great Race Place. Not the Great Race Place. I messed that up. I apologize. I messed that up. Glen Ridge Motorsports Park. I apologize. I guess I'm going a little too fast. I'm not trying to, but let me go back. Let me redo that. Let me reread what I just said there. I didn't mean that. The Glen Ridge Motorsports Park heading in the championship week would be Travis Green and Andrew Buff winning the championship. Jason Riome and Ryan Heath set the pace to the green flag for the 30-lap red chair 602 dirt car great sportsman feature, where Young grabbed the early lead, but it would be short-lived as Tony Ferrone was on the mission and led by lap 5. A yellow came out shortly after, but however Ferrone was checked out of the field on the ensuing restart and led the final 25 laps to win his second race of 2020 at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park. With a 25 green flag run, all focus turned to the T69 of Travis Green and the 92 of Andrew Buff. It appeared as if Green may win by a slim margin. However, Buff would move around Cody Oaks for second around the halfway mark and went on to finish second behind Ferrone. However, Green wasn't able to get into a position to challenge Oaks for third and would end up fourth, with Mark Mortensen completing the top 5. This led to a tie for the at the track championship, as Travis Green and Andrew Buff are co-champions for the 2020 at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park for the 602 the red chaired 602 dirt car great sportsman. Moving on to the pro stocks, Bo Ballard and Andy Graves would lead the 16-car brigade to the green. Ballard would grab the lead early. However, Ballard would not have time to create a gap between himself and the second place car. The caution came out on lap 4 as Andy Graves went around in turn 2. This left Ballard with the cuz Luke Horning on the inside. Ballard would then have a nice restart and pull out to a small lead. However, caution for the 08 of Doug Shealy and the 34 of Matt Gronke would spin down the back straightaway. I was there. I was at the Ridge last night. A very good race. Matt Gronke and Doug Shealy got together on the back straightaway, and they had a bunch to field back up. Ballard had his hands full off the following restart as Horning was all over the back of the bumper of the 15. Horning began to have a car on his back bumper as well. This car was a 70X of Josh Coonrad. Another caution will come out for Matt Gronke spinning in turn 2, bunched up the field back up. Off the ensuing restart, Bo Ballard pulled away from the three cars battling for second in form of Horning, Coonrad, and Nick Stone to pick up win number 2. Horning would hold off Stone at the line for second, while Coonrad, Buck Gasner completed up the top 5. So Stone finished third, Coonrad was fourth, and Buck Gasner completed the top 5. Bo Ballard won the battle, but Luke Horning won the war as cousin Luke picked up the 2020 Pro Stock Championship, his 4th Pro Stock Championship in a row at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park. That guy is winning everything up there at that track. He is one of the best up at that track that there is. So here we are. We're gonna get Scott Huber on in a minute. I'm gonna get that all set up for him. Street stocks. Adam Trenka went wire to wire on the street stock feature. Matt Mosier came in second. Damon Aniston third. Jason Samroff fourth, and Mark Birch would complete the top 5. Limited Sportsman got underway with Taylor LaPlante on the pole for the feature. It wasn't long until Carter Gibbons piled to the 427, the Cessna Carter Gibbons. Gibbons looked to have the feature in the bag, but the 29 of Joseph Venditti cast it out a line and reeled it in with 2 to go and made the pass on Gibbons on the outside and ended up going on and winning the race. With that being said, Stephen Gray in the number 20, as Venditti won the race, Stephen Gray won the war. Stephen Gray picked up the championship for the Limited Sportsman division at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park. So here are the results right here. It's going to be the Red Chair Dirt Car Sportsman. Tony Fromm was first, Buff was second, Cody Oakes third, Travis Green fourth, Mark Mortensen fifth, Scott McCoy sixth, Jason Realm seventh, Ryan Heath 8th, Elliott Lucier 9th, and Alex Van Pelt round out your top 10. Tucker O'Connor, Jerry Kahn, Mike Jeske, and Al McCoy would also end up would round out the field. Mike Jeske unfortunately lost a tire in his race. He spun down the front stretch and lost tire. Track champions are Travis Green and Andrew Buff, co-champions at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park, as they will share the track championship there. The Yerkowitz Auto Crushers Dirt Car Racing Pro Stocks. Bo Ballard was first, Nick Stone second, Luke Horning third, Josh Coonrad fourth, Buck Gasner fifth, Ivan Johnson sixth, Jay Fitzgerald seventh, Doug Shilley eighth, Don Collins ninth, Ken Griffin 10th, Matt Gronke would be 11th, Charlie Yerkowitz 12th, Dave Stickles, the double Nicholas Dave Stickles would be 13th, Mark Dupuis 14th, Andy Graves rounded up 15th, and Jim Normal would round up your field of 16 cars at the Ridge. We are now going to go jump back to some of the action from Friday night, as we are going to go over to the Cornwall Motor Speedway in Pennsylvania. Very nice racetrack. I've seen some pictures. It sounds like it was a pretty good race there. Corey Wheeler wins the round 1 of the Fatless Chip Stand Canadian Nationals at Cornwall Motor Speedway in Cornwall, Ontario. The Cornwall Motor Speedway was back in action tonight with 5 classes ready to battle. Brian McDonald would lead the 50-lap Canadian Nationals with Corey Wheeler and Kyle Dingwall the top 3. The leader hit heavy traffic on lap 8 as McDonald was the leader as the first caution was out on lap 15. McDonald to the lead with Wheeler right behind him. A lot of action was going on, but Corey Wheeler would take the lead, and caution would come out as McDonald spun in turn 4 as something broke on his ride on lap 34. Wheeler would lead with Dingwall and Chris Rebay following suit. Wheeler would have had a scare with 2 laps to go, but managed to keep the lead, captured round 1 of the Canadian Nationals. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have Mr. Scott Huber join our show here in a minute. Be ready for that. Andrew Ferguson was racing up at Jonathan Ferguson and Ryan Stable was up there. I'm going to show you, I'll read the results in a minute. Here's the results. It would be Wheeler finishing first. It would be, let's see, I don't know. A severe accident, I guess, happened in front of the grandstands on lap 23. All drivers were A-okay. I guess it looks to be everybody was okay, but there is the man Corey Wheeler who ended up getting the win up at the Cornwall Speedway up in Cornwall, Ontario, Canada. It's a great racetrack. I've seen many things about it. It's a nice track, and we are gonna get Mr. Scott Huber on the show now. Just make sure you can hear me, and we'll get everything. We'll get him all situated. Let's see what you guys. All right. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, man.
Alright. Alright, hold on 1 second. We had to make a little swap and everything to make things a little bit more visible. Alright, so tell me a little bit about how your weekend went. I know it wasn't a really fortunate weekend for you, but tell me a little bit how your weekend went as we're going to look for the next article.
Yeah, with Fonda being shut down, we've been running over to always Saratoga, so we've kind of been taking that chance on testing stuff. You know, we're changing setups every week and trying out different shock and spring combinations, and you know, we seem to have good single lap speed, but it's proves to be a challenge as we run heat races and consies to try and get that in traffic feel with the race car. The feel's just not there what we're looking for, so. No, we're continuing to work on it. We're trying to, you know, this year's been kind of crazy, so we're trying to make as much out as we can with you know, Malta being open. They're going to kind of extend their season, try and get a few more races in, and you know, just continue to try stuff and different pan-hard bar combinations and everything. So it's not a total loss, but you know, we're disappointed we're not running better, and it's kind of difficult to switch racetracks and kind of switch gears as you change, you know, late in the season like this. So.
So what other tracks are on your list, or like what other races you're gonna run the rest of the season? I know it's a weird season, but what's up on your list coming up?
So we want to run Always Saratoga Friday night, and then if we run okay there, we want to go to Devil's Bowl for their big block, small block race again. After that, we're just kind of looking at the calendar, seeing what's going on. I don't think we're going to go to Fonda for the next race at Fonda. The tire and sail panel deal, that's too much to kind of just change around too much. Not really learning nothing for next year when we're doing that. So we're all about trying to get better for next year and, you know, see where we need to go, which direction we need to go, and where we need to get a little more help. And, you know, the shock and spring deal right now, these guys are getting it figured out real quick, and you know, stacking spring rubbers and spring smashers and all that stuff is just kind of really evolving as we're going forward here. So if you're not playing around with it, you're falling behind real quick.
All right, so we're gonna jump back into the race recap here. I see I see an article about Kyle Larson winning at Big Husted Speedway, so we'll go on to that. Yes, he is. He's also on Dirt Track Digest right now, as well as I am. He's just gonna round up the show with us. We got a couple more segments we're gonna talk about, and then we'll wrap it up. So back to Brandon, South Dakota. Kyle Larson picked up another win here at Brandon. Another win in the World of Outlaws. Seems like he's winning everything. During a race at the track in August, Larson flipped early in the night and destroyed the car he had been dominating the year with. Then Saturday night during the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series first return to the track in 4 years, Larson blew a tire while leading and suffered enough damage that he was unable to continue. Now, we just talked about that. Sheldon Hoddenshell actually won that race, and Larson ended up wrecking out. But however, Sunday night with the $20,000 to win on the line, Larson was unwilling to be denied his chance at Husted Speedway win with that World of Outlaws, keeping his car on all four wheels and tread on his tires. Larson methodically worked his way through the field to claim his first win at the South Dakota track, his 10th series win in the season, and his 18th career win overall. I'll tell you what, Scott, he's been winning everywhere.
Did you see the tire on his car? It was bald by the end of the night. He can race with no tread.
That's just it's talent. I tell you what, that kid, you could put that kid in anything that you want. You could put him probably in a big block, and he probably go out there and beat the best of the best. That's just how that kid's been racing lately. Second time in the late model, he ended up going out and winning. So let's see.
You get a chip on your shoulder with something to prove. It gives you something to really push for, and that's what he's got right now with the NASCAR deal. And
well, he's really not in NASCAR right now, so.
That's right. Well, getting taken out of NASCAR and trying to prove himself that he was worthy of that ride, and he's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's showing everybody why he got there. It wasn't because of money; it was because of talent.
Yeah, he's definitely been dominating almost everywhere. The World of Outlaws is going to be racing a little bit more this week. I'm sure he'll probably be winning more, and I'm sure we'll be able to talk a little bit more next week about that. We got another special guest going on that. He's definitely been dominating everywhere. So the results were Kyle Larson with the win, James McFadden in second, David Greville would finish third, Gio Selzy would finish fourth, and rounding out your top five would be the 49 of Brad Sweet. Overall, very tough competition for Kyle Larson, but yeah, he still was able to prevail and win at the Hudson Speedway in Brandon, South Dakota. So, I'll tell you what, Kyle Larson's definitely looking to cap off the World of Outlaws season with a championship.
Oh yeah, he can do it too.
Oh, I'm sure, no doubt in my mind he could. Let's see what else. Now we're gonna. So yeah, that was definitely. He's definitely got the talent and the car behind him, the team that he needs behind him. He's got the fans behind him, which that helps. I also read something that I've been looking into stuff. I'm not gonna start any rumors. I've seen stuff with Kyle Coffey and Friesen talking to him a little bit here and there. So I'm not gonna start saying that he's gonna just jump over to a modified like that. But he is gonna jump into a UMP modified in a couple weeks at a big national race in a couple weeks. So we may get a ton of cars down there. So it should be awesome to see how he does against some of the more talented drivers in the UMP division. So we'll have to see.
Well, something I did see on his car, I see Glenn Steyer's his name. He's he's the promoter up at Oswego. So if he's on his car, he's got a little local connection. You may see him in a modified car. You might see him in
one of those asphalt modifieds that they run up at Oswego too. You never know. He can drive pretty much anything he wants, and on dirt or asphalt at this rate, he's won almost everything he's been in. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. Now we're gonna jump. Speaking of the UMP news, I don't know if you can read this. Nick Hoffman wins the $10,000 Plowboy Nationals, not Playboy. That's a little that's a little wrong. Plowboy Nationals at Spoon River Speedway. Nick Hoffman racing for Justin Allgaier right now, as Justin Allgaier is fulfilling his duties in the Xfinity Series for NASCAR. A maximum of $24,000 could be won in the Dirt UMP, a modified competition over the 4 major events consisted in Illinois this past weekend. Nick Hoffman claimed $22,500 of it. That's a lot. Out of $24,000, he won almost everything. He said it was unreal to be able to even race for that kind of money in one weekend for modifieds, he said. Leading flag to flag in the 30th running of the Playboy Nationals at Spoon River Speedway, Hoffman completed a Friday, Saturday, Sunday sweep with a third victory with three victories in 3 days at the Speedway. I'll tell you what, that's pretty talented to sweep a weekend like that, especially with all the drivers that I'm sure were there. Looking at the picture they have, it looks like Kenny Wallace, a couple of the drivers were battling with him, so that's pretty talented to get the 1-2-3 sweep throughout the weekend.
Yeah, those cars there, they get a ton of them every place they go, and they only get a couple chances to run for big money. And used to get Kyle Strickler that used to run all those. That kind of really was the yin.
He was one of him and Nick Hoffman. Him and Nick Hoffman are two of the best.
Races, but now Strickler's running late models. That I think he's doing that a lot more than he is running a modified car. I did see Bobby Pearson in a UMP car out there too. So, it's you kind of have to see who shows up when you go to those races. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I love the fact that especially down in Volusia, these guys like Nick Hoffman and all that, but they're racing against the NASCAR drivers like Kenny Wallace and David Stremme and Matt Crafton. Sometimes all the NASCAR guys even come and race these UMP modifieds when they get the chance, because there is decent money on the line. it shows for the amount of drivers that they had on that list. The results were Nick Hoffman was first, Mike McKinney was second. Mike McKinney has been winning a lot lately as well. Tyler Nicely was third, Will Krupp fourth, and speaking of Davis Stremme finished fifth. Bobby Pierce was out there, he ended up finishing 11th, and Mark Anderson finished 10th. A couple other drivers in there that raced up there. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see Bobby Pierce coming down from the late model world and then jumping down to the modifieds, coming back to race. Oh, that's where he grew. That's how he started racing. He started racing the UMP, so it's kind of cool to see him coming back to his roots and all that.
Yeah, it's a lot of the late model builders are building UMP mod cars too, so they gotta hook up when they're running one or the other. So
yeah. So now we're going back to the big block modified world, as there was a lot of races this past weekend. The Demetrius Drelos pocketed $7,500 at the Vermont 200 this past weekend, which was actually last night at Devil's Bowl Speedway in West Haven, Vermont. 95 cars registered for that. That's a lot of cars. Demetrius Drelos.
Goes to show you the cost of big block modified racing. If they can put up the same money and they didn't get that many cars. So, they get 95 cars for show. Kudos to Devil's Bowl Speedway and those guys for putting on a show like that with the world being as crazy it is and be able to pull it off. And Drelos been pretty good up there all year.
Yeah.
What do you say about the competition when a guy like Kenny Tremont doesn't even qualify? So
that just tells you how big the sportsman division has grown and how much talent has really jumped into the sportsman. Speaking of talent, there was one driver that was in that race last night, 12 years old, Tanner Van Doren, finished the entire 200 laps. For a 12-year-old kid, that's rare to see a 12-year-old kid being on the wheel 200 laps in a race car.
Yeah, it's stopping 100 laps for snack time though. So.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, I talked to him earlier today, it sounds like he had a little bit of some tire issues here and there, so he had a couple laps down where he could take a break, but that happened. Sounds like the track was a little bit rough, but there was a lot of cars on the track, probably slick and very heavy and all that. But Demetrius Drelos of Queensbury, New York, started 21st and made his way through traffic to take the lead from Robert Bublak at lap 85. Drelos led the final 115 circuits to pocket $7,500 for the top prize. $3,376 in later bonuses, totaling $10,876 he ended up pocketing last night. Kevin Root finished second, but was disqualified in post-race technical inspection. Mike Maresca originally finished third, but was then moved up to the runner-up spot, followed by Matt Janzuk, Tim Hartman Jr., and rookie Josh Masterson. A total of actually not 95, 89 drivers attempted to qualify for 34 spots. I thought 95, but okay. 89 cars for a speedway. That's insane. Kevin Root ended up getting disqualified for a post-race technical inspection. Talk a little about that. Maybe, I don't know, I'm sure you've had to feel that before. What's that like with the...
Could be weight. I've been DQ'd going across the scales at the end of a feature before, or end of a heat race. You just, if you burn up a set of tires, you could lose 30 pounds to 30, 40 pounds you weren't really planning on losing. And if you run your fuel low, you're kind of playing with fire there at the end of those races. So, could have been weight. Just didn't make weight. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly what.
Yeah.
What usually crate motors. It's usually rev box or
motor.
wrong rev chip setting or something on that line, or weight usually. So I'd be surprised if it's something else. So those guys are usually pretty good. So I wouldn't. I raced go-karts with Kevin Root and those guys back in the day. So those guys are usually on point. So they got nice equipment, nice stuff. There's no reason for them to be playing around. So.
We're gonna jump to the last segment that we have, and then we'll jump to the schedule. We'll do the schedule for the week, and then you and me can just talk a little bit about the racing action and all that stuff, your upcoming schedule and all that. Ryan Watt ended up dominating at Big Diamond for the $17,000 Colt Cracker 72 win. Looking at the picture in Victory Lane, looks like they packed the place there last night at the Big Diamond Speedway down in Minersville, Pennsylvania. Ryan Watt was a man on a mission at the Big Diamond Speedway, leading nearly every lap of the Cold Cracker 72 and hardly ever challenged en route to a $17,000 payday. The win is Watt's first in the event, holding off a strong set of track regulars and invaders. Let's see the results. So, Ryan Watt ended up picking up the win. Let's see, I don't see it on here. Hold on. Yeah,
I did see the pictures. It was packed down there. I mean, it looks like it was standing only.
Like this stand. Looking at that picture, that picture was packed. Dipple ended up finishing second. Van Dorn was around there. Goulart came. Actually, no. Here we go. So Ryan Watt not Dipple. Dipple was running second for most of the race, and then he ended up braking and ended up having to pull off the track. Ryan Watt wins the Gold Cracker 72 win. Goulart came home in second, Mike Goulart, with Craig Van Dorn in third, Dwayne Howard in fourth, and Matt Shepard rounded out the top five. Matt Shepard's been racing pretty much everywhere it goes, but I'll tell you what, it's awesome to see Ryan Watt getting a very big win like that.
I think that's his first big win of the season. I'm not sure what he had down in Florida or something like that, but I mean, I haven't really heard his name much this summer, and he's a lot better than that. So I think they just hasn't really had a lot of races down there. They've been running. So nice to see him back in Victory Lane.
Yeah, he said we've been trying to win this one for years. It's a tough race when we don't run here weekly. Watt said the last 10 laps or so I started to get a little tight. I don't know whether the right front was going away or the track was just locking down that hard. My guys have certainly worked really hard this year. This car was just a standard bar car yesterday, and we made the decision last night to flip it over to a coil car for this race tonight. So pretty much he just last minute jumped the car back to what he wanted it, and then had to flip it back to the rather other setup that he had. So he had the first setup that he had Saturday night, and then jumped to a different setup Sunday. That's a tough thing to do in one night.
Ryan wants a guy to do that. He was really the pioneer of the bar stuff down in New Jersey, or the coil stuff down in New Jersey. Everybody kind of following his lead, so he's the guy to do it, make it work.
Mm-hmm. So upcoming, and we'll talk to you. We'll have you do those. We can have sponsor shout out and all that stuff in a minute. Coming up next, the upcoming events on the Speedway, on the Dirt Track Digest TV. Upcoming events for their pay-per-views: the weekly Summer Sizzle at the Albany Saratoga Speedway, which you will actually be racing there. Then you got the
50 lapper, right?
What?
50 lapper.
Yeah, it's a 50-lap race, and actually, folks, I know Scott's probably gonna hate me for saying this, but Brett the Jet Hearn will be returning to that. Brett, feel free. You told me the story the other night, Charlotte. Feel free to tell everybody that's watching at home about the story, what you did at Charlotte, and all that.
We have a good time. We go to Charlotte, so usually we put an anybody but Hearn banner on the side of our vehicle and drive it all the way down and hoot and holler, and drive through the pit area, get everybody riled up as we go through the season, and it's just good fun we have with everybody, and it was fun to drive that van down through the pit area of Charlotte, hear everybody laughing. We had Shepard was laughing, Rusko was laughing, all the Timmy Fuller them guys. It's funny, just to have a good time, and we drive in front of the bars at night and beep and wave and just have a good time. Everybody gets a good crack out of it, and we made the announcement there that year with anybody but Hearn on the side of the car. So we like to have a little bit of fun, but hey, he's the best.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take that away from the guy. He's the best, and gotta expect a little razz, and that's all.
Mm-hmm. Now, what happened when did Hearn ever find out what happened with that?
I don't think he knows it's me. I can tell you that. Now he knows. So hey, Brad, don't wreck me this weekend. But no, we have fun, and hey, I think he has fun with it too. So.
Just to round up the weekend schedule, the Cold Cracker, what is it? The post Cold Cracker 30 Fire Management Control of Pennsylvania night. This Friday, September 4th, That'll be at the Big Diamond Speedway, as Albany, Saratoga, and Big Diamond will also be racing. And also on Friday, we have the 358s, the Sportsman, and the Pro Stocks at the Can-Am Speedway. They'll be racing at Can-Am this weekend, that's just probably a weekly show. And then rounding out your weekend, we'll have the Thunder Mountain Modifieds, and that'll be about all they have coming up. Also, Fonda Speedway will also be up on there for their show Sunday at the Fonda Speedway with the sail panels and the tires that you were talking about. A little weird setup with the Fonda Speedway this time. They're gonna do it kind of like how they did with the Short Track Super Series. It was very different than when they did that, but it was fun. It's a fun setup that they do.
It's basically open tire, American Racer, Hoosier, sail panels. It'll be a good race for them, so hopefully you get a lot of support. So.
Mm-hmm. Now you mentioned something this past week to me about the 6 Series race that's been happening right now, the Super Dirt Series. I gotta look into that actually. I know that Albany Saratoga is on that list. I know that Can-Am is on that list. I know that Airborne is possibly on that list. I'm not positive about that.
I don't think so. I think it's like Weedsport.
Yeah.
Maybe Brewerton, but I'm not sure on the actual list of tracks. But it starts at Albany Saratoga and heads west. I think even Rome's on there maybe. So it'll be a good show for those guys. They're taking the point money for Super Dirt Car Series, kind of spread it along, I think, through that whole purse. So it's big money for those guys. They're going to big payouts and stuff like that. So it's nice to see something for those guys, especially the guys that are racing for a living that haven't really been racing that much. So,
are you going to run any of those races in that upcoming thing?
Probably not. We're not dirt car legal with our engine package, so not yet anyways. So we're kind of handcuffed. We can't go run those shows. So we're trying to run everything else around all that stuff, but not those Super Dirt Car Series shows. So.
All right. Well, that's all we really have for the show. For the recap, any sponsors, anything you want to give a shout out to, feel free, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, big sponsors. They always help me every year. Is Hunt's Machine, Ed Brassmaster, and Dave Hunt down there. They treat me like family. I couldn't do it without those guys. Eric Yeager at Thailand Performance. Best friend, crew chief.
Mm-hmm.
You name it. He's a one of a kind guy, and we're happy that he's there to help us out. He's a brother to me, and I grew up, crewing his cars before he started crewing my cars. So, big shout out to Eric and John Levine family. They help us out every year, and they stepped up again this year and really give us the support. So, I know I'm missing probably 3 other people, and there's Harry's Auto. Yeah, you too, Brady, were there last week and give us a hand. Some of my crew guys, Kevin, my brother-in-law Kevin, he's been there all year.
Every week,
it's his first year on board, and as we kind of try and grow this team and try and expand, my niece Carly's been around, and we've had a few other people. Dave Caldwell, the guy who used to race down at Accord, La Valley, in the Pro Stocks, got to help us out, and
Rich Christmas.
I can't say enough about those guys. They've been putting hours and time in, and even a couple fellow racers have been over, like Rich Christmas and those guys to give us a hand. Yeah, so I appreciate all the help and support we get every week. Definitely look forward to more as we go forward. I hope if we get it kind of straightened out for next year, we get back to normal next year. So. For everybody's sake, so.
Well, everybody that is watching on YouTube, thank you guys so much for watching it. Make sure you guys give me a little bit of feedback on what you guys think about this show. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. This is a new version of Out of the Fast Lane. We're also going to continue with the interviews. We have a couple drivers lined up for this week. I ain't gonna say any names. One may or may have not just won a track championship this past weekend, and another couple other drivers that will be joining us this week. And this is Scott Huber, number 51 Hunt's Machine car, modified, sorry. And thank you guys for watching, and take care.